Right. Just
Yeah.
start off. Are you okay, Matt?
Yeah, can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can still hear you. Your picture isn't brilliant, but I can hear you. Fine.
Hang on,
No,
I don't know what's
you
going on
want a
today.
little more light on the subject, I think. Right. So we start off the meeting with apologies. I have a few apologies. Kathy Hopewell, Elizabeth Haylett, or Hawlett, I think it is. It's not Haylett. Hawlett, Jenny Leeson, Sheila Lewis, and Keith Andrews. There were two on Facebook, but unfortunately, I saw them at the beginning. I didn't make a note of them, and then I couldn't find them. So unfortunately, the two on Facebook, I do apologise, but I did get your um, apologies. So there you go. Steve is with us on voice only. You can still hear us, Steve?
I can still hear you.
Yeah, right. So we got Steve. I got Steve accepted. That's Stephen Lane, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got Stephen accepted. Um, right. To start off, members of the charity, we now have 72. That'll give us roughly 12, about 120 a year. Oh, 1,200 a year, which should cover all our outgoings. But we could do with a few more members if you like to chat people up for it. We don't want to go mad. We just want, I think 100 would be a good figure. Right, members of the Feeble Charity family did an increase this last week, mainly because I put an email on the Feeble. I'm reading from my list, so sorry if I'm looking that way. I put a message on the Feeble community saying that most of our members have joined the Facebook and would they please consider joining? And we did have a little influx on members. So we did pick a few up from the Feeble community. So we're now on 856. So that's done a bit of a jump. So that's good. I had a bit of a funny time this week because updating my computer so I could pick up the nodes easy to do the websites. I then wanted to update the Feeble community research or Feeble family research part so that would make it easier for people to find things. And I had a bit of a mishap because I'm doing the Feeble British Feebles list. That would mean going into every page and altering it, and there's over 58,000 pages. And I thought, no, I can't do that. So I put my side back. My side is back to where it was, but the Feeble family research part is looking better. But I'm still having the same problem my end in finding files, but I'll sort that out as I go. Right. One big thing this week was Sophie, and Sophie actually. Oh, we got Steve on picture now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're okay, Steve.
That's it.
So Sophie actually finished the Empress of Australia and sends it to me, and I've been working on trying to put a few more bits and pieces on, which I have done. So a lot of them, we know what camps they are at now when they were repatriated. So that helped. It weren't all of them, but I managed to put quite a few on. and I managed to put the web pages on, which I'll put on Facebook today so people can see they're there. And I think that is a first for us to put on a repatriation roll of a ship going home. So well done, Sophie, and well done,
My pleasure.
Tim, and well done, Tim, for pointing me in the right direction to actually pick up the files in the first place. So, Tim, if you're listening to this, thanks, mate. Great help. And Sophie, I can't say enough how much I appreciate your help.
I'll keep on typing. So I'm on the next ship, and there's 3 separate roles in that, and I've done 2 of them was shorter, so I completed those first, and I'm now into the 3rd, which is considerably longer. So, but I'm hoping to have that one done if I can get a bit of time over our holidays, maybe in when my husband's gone into the football match or something. So I might get a bit of time to do it then. And hopefully by the time I come back, I might be able to send you the second one, and then I'll be on to the 3rd. Yeah, and after that, whatever else I can do to help, basically. So
some of them are, of course, American ships, aren't they? Sophie?
They are. I mean, there's within that file there are other ships, but they all contain a mix of other nationalities. So,
but
I've just picked the British ones. Yeah. So
just go for the British.
So,
actually, we picked the best one to start with, the Empress of Australia, because of course that went to Liverpool, so that was a good one to start with. But the rest, I think, a lot of the American ones, of course, will go to America, and then they'll come home via Canada and the Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
But that's good. That's good.
Can I just say, well, thank you very much, Sophie, for joining and helping Ronnie. But having been involved now for quite some time, I notice a difference in what people are asking about their relatives. And the one thing that is really very apparent is that they're all very interested in how they got home, how they were repatriated. So what you're doing has come at just the right time, really, that we can say to these people, look, one of our members, our treasurer, actually has got all the lists because she's helped quite a few people. But, that they'll be able to go online and find it. It is really good that people are interested, not just in what happened to them during their time in captivity, but how they got home. And while we were talking about it at our meeting this week, Ron Mockford, who I know a lot of you will have probably seen on the news and in the Times, doing his bit about his time as a prisoner. He, of course, said that because he was in the RAF, was very lucky because when he actually came back here, he didn't go straight home. He went to RAF Cosford and was treated like royalty virtually, for those days. And that did make me realise, because in my own dad's records, I've got him coming back on the Orduna and then instantly being given his rail ticket to come back home from Huyton. So it's interesting. People now want to know how they were treated when they came home. And I was amazed to sort of be given a jolt by Ron to realise that they were treated quite differently. The RAF, were treated differently to the Army. I'll have to look into how they treated the naval ones, you may know. But yeah, it's good. And people want to know what ship, where it came to, or as in some cases, they didn't come home straight away. Some of them went across the States or through Australia. So this is happening at just the right time for these people with that interest. So thank you both ever so much for what you're doing.
Yeah.
Some of the leaflets I've already had on, because I've had them on for quite a few years, but they are a bit hard to find. You've got to look through the feeble community articles to find them. But I had, coming back home, and I had a lot of leaflets, and one of them is the Ataka pamphlet, and that explains what equipment or what they gave to the internees and forces on the way back home. And I was putting the Ataka leaflet, the pamphlet on. I redone it this week, so that is actually on the internet, so you can actually find it easier now. It's in Research Liberation, and then you can find it in there. But when you have a look at the army ranks, what they were given, soup, and they were told what medals they could wear, and then that goes on to get the list. And then you go on to the RAF, and they were given a lot more. But I've put asterisks next to what the RAF supplied. So the RAF supplied more goods to the people going home than the army supplied, because the RAF actually funded them, which is interesting. And you get to, there's 26 things on the RAF list, and 23 things on the army list. So the RAF did get treated different.
Yeah.
My dad, honestly, didn't, I'm sorry, but my dad called them the Brill Queen boys. he always called them the Brill Queen boys. They were always better off than the army. But there again, I mean, you know.
Ronnie, what items did they get additionally, just out of interest?
Additionally,
what were the additional things with it?
You can actually read the list, because if you have a look under Liberation and a Ataka leaflet, a pamphlet, you can actually come out with it. But a Chevros, what's a Chevros? Anyone? A Chevros. They're a Chevros worsted. Sorry?
How do you spell it?
Chevrous. And they got it in worsted, an SD. I don't know what that is. They got a jersey, a pullover, and for some reason they got BG next to it. So I take it that's big. I don't know what it stands for. Rollers. They got socks, of course. Drawers, woolen short. But one thing that really did, that did bring a tear to my eye, a lump from my throat, was the kit bag. My dad had an operation after war at Roehampton, and he convalesced at Kelling. And I was about, because I was born January 47, so I was about 3 at the time when he came home from his operation. He was lucky because he was the first to pull through in the operation, because the ones before him all died. But he got through it. He had a part of his lung removed from the tropical disease, and that's nothing to do with it. But anyway, that kit bag did it. I could picture him coming. We stood outside waiting for him because he was catching the coach on to come home. They brought him home. And I can picture him walking down the road with his old army coat on and the kit bag slung over his shoulder. I can still picture it. And that brought a tear to my eye. Just a simple kit bag. Anyway, getting back to my list, I've got a few things to go through. So
can I just sorry interrupt you, Ronnie, because I did message you, but it might be of interest to the others about the kit bag. Looking over at my husband, because when my mum moved house, she gave us, which I didn't realise was my dad's kit bag, and my husband was using it when he went on his motorbike on his camping things, and it was watching a film of the soldiers disembarking, whether it was Liverpool or Southampton, I don't know, and I suddenly realised they were carrying these white kit bags slung over their shoulders, and I instantly said to my husband, "Where's that bag you've been using for your camping with your motorbike?" And there, written on it, admittedly it was quite faded, but it was E.J. Taylor, RA, 167418, his army number. So
Yeah.
he hasn't used it ever since. But I also discovered an army holdall of my dad's, which I didn't realise what it was. So kit bag and army holdall are now together in safekeeping. But yeah, I was, when I noticed on this film them carrying those kit bags, I suddenly realised what we'd inherited from my mum. You know, so it's been kept specially now. It's of no value apart from sentimental value to me.
When I
So I know what you mean.
Yeah, when I joined the Scouts, well, I was in the Cubs at first, and then I was in the Scouts. We started going camping. I actually did use Dad's kit bag.
Yeah,
And
ideal for camping.
As you said, that did have his number on it and
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
And I did use that, and I didn't absolutely put two and two together at the time.
No.
But of course, then that has actually gone missing now, so I honestly know where it is. But anyway, getting back to my list, I've got to go through. Yeah, so I've explained. I did leave the British Feeples this week because we were trying to get the list on, and that was worth leaving them. I'm about a third of the way through the last one, which is the W's. They are being a bit of a pain. There's so many typos, but I'll get there in the end. I got an email from Walter, if you're watching, Walter, which I know you do. I did make a typo in your dad's name. I put one too many E's in it, and I did alter at the time you sent me the email, but I checked this morning, I hadn't updated the site, so I updated it. So now your dad has got one less E, so his name is correct. If you still see two E's, just refresh the page in your browser and you will see one E. Well, there should be one. I got a nice letter an email from Doreen McClafferty for the last book. Thanking us very much. I'll read it because that's a nice letter or an email. Thank you for the book. It arrived today. It's very apt. I know my dad worked on the railway and was in Bang Pong, and I didn't know if he was moved up the line or not. Yesterday at the service at Motherwell, I met Agnes Dugan for the first time. A lovely lady. She told me my dad was a track layer and would have been moved along. So now I am hoping to find out more about the camps he has been in. So that was a nice email. The book she appreciated it. I've got another email from Hannah Morris. Now you wouldn't know her, but she's chairman of a committee in Tupton, Derbyshire, called Tupton Celebrates Together. We're wanting to hold an event on the 15th of August 2020 to commemorate and celebrate VJ Day. As a committee, we feel it is just as important to remember that day. And she goes on to say, have we got anything to send us? So I sent her our People Day address, and I said if she's interested, I will have time before that, I hope. I'll have a look through the index cards to see if I can find any from Tupton who were Feeples. I did have a quick look and I found a couple, but that really wants more time spent on it. So that's from Hannah Morris, and I have replied. Right, so as you can see, I said I have readjusted the pages on the Feeple family, and hopefully they do make more sense. And what I'll do in the future will be try to put some of the pages over to the Feeple family from the Feeple community. At the moment, there are links now within those pages on the research to take you to the Feeple community information, which I think makes it a little easier to find, but I will improve it. At the moment, it's I told you, Sophie, that was about I'm up about 4 o'clock now because I'm sitting on the computer so long, I keep getting cramp, and that wakes me up at night. And the weather's been terrible, so I haven't taken the dogs for a walk, which I should do, just to get the legs moving. But yesterday was a funny thing. Before I get over to the rest of you, that was a funny thing. I wasn't having a very good morning. Things weren't going right. And I said to Gillian, this was about 12 o'clock. I'll go up and get changed, have a shower, make me feel better. So I go up, have a shower, get on my new underwear and everything, right, feeling great. Went to stick my trousers on and stuck my foot through my knee of my trousers. I thought, oh, this is great. This is great. So that made my morning. That really did. Another thing that brings back, I hope you all don't mind, that I have in the past 2 months lost information when our mains has gone off, because I don't do the web pages on a laptop. I do them where I'm on now. I do them on my main computer, which is there. So I'm on the main computer, and because one in particular, I was near enough through on the British People's, I was near enough through the whole thing, and I had to go back and redo it all again, because when it went off, I lost a lot. So I did ask Gillian if we had enough in the kitty, which we did have, to buy an UPS. Okay, I buy the computer, I buy all that, but I bought the UPS through our fund. It's all okay with all of you. The UPS, I didn't go for dear one. I went for £64. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Anyone complaining?
No.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
An injectable power supply.
Yeah. What it does is, if my mains go off, it keeps my computer on for a length of time. So I can either switch it off. So I can either switch my computer off and save everything,
Yeah.
or wait for the mains to come back on. But it did cause me, on a couple of occasions, a lot of work. Because I lost a full day's work. My fault, because I should have saved as I went along, but I get so involved in doing things, I forget to save. Anyway, so if that's okay, it cost us £64, which is a great thing, but that will help me a lot. So the UPS is, can you see it on, no?
Yeah.
That's on top there. So it's now on my computer. Laptops are okay, because of course if the mains go off, you're all right. But with my main computer, that it just switches off. Anyway, so right. So we'll start off with Sophie. One thing that we want to clear up, and that is Sophie's son Liam, who is showing interest in the people, in his granddad. You're so young, Sophie. His great granddad.
Not that young. Yeah. Some days I feel very old. So
anyway, so Liam has now got a laptop. Am I right, Sophie?
yeah, he pestered us for his first laptop, so we bought him a second-hand one of his choosing. But he said, Mummy, he said, can we ask the nice man with the bookcase, because that's what he refers to you as. She's got a bookcase in the background. If I can join your meetings, he said, no, I've got my own laptop. And he wants his own headset and everything. It's really cute. So I said, we'll have to ask him, Liam. So, but he's desperate to join.
Yeah. First thing, yes, I said yes. But
Sweet.
we've got to put it to the meeting. Everybody agrees. I honestly think...
he's the man himself now. Come here, Liam.
There's Liam. He just walked in. He's gone in the back.
He's walked out again.
But I honestly think... Here he is. Here's Liam.
Right. Do
Hi,
you want to tell the
Liam.
people that you want to join with your own laptop?
Right, Liam, we're just talking about you and your new laptop, which I hope you're enjoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and would you like to be a part of our
Yeah.
meetings? Yeah. So if
Yeah.
if your mum send us your email address, or me your email address, not through the internet, through me, just send it to us to me, then I'll add you to the invite, Liam. So you'll get an invite to join us at the meetings on your laptop. Is that okay?
Thanks.
Yeah. I hope you enjoy it. We're very friendly. We don't have Toy Story or anything like that. I know you were watching that last time. Toy
Yeah.
Story, was it? Yeah, but we don't have anything like that. But you'll enjoy the meeting if you want to join. So if you want to join, send us an email and say you'd like to join, and then I'm sure that's okay with everyone in the meeting, that we accept Liam within Sophie's membership. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Very welcome, Liam. Look forward
Yeah,
to you
welcome.
joining us.
He'll be our
Right,
youngest
so-
member.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll have
Need to
Sophie
attract
as
more.
our youngest feeble child. Yes. We'll have Sophie as our youngest feeble child, and Liam as our youngest member, which would be
How
great.
lovely.
Yeah. Anyway, see you later, Liam, and hopefully you'll join us at the meetings in the future. All right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thumbs up.
Yeah.
Thumbs up,
Hi,
Liam.
Liam.
Well done. Well done. Great. Lovely. See you later, Liam.
See you.
Right. So I think that's okay with everyone. I
Absolutely.
get the younger members involved.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. When we say the youngest members, like a lot of you, mine's nearly 50. So it makes a bit of a difference. Younger members, Sophie's, Liam, compared with mine, which is nearly 50. And they're still the grandchildren of the Feetles. There's a lot of age difference there, but I think he'll enjoy it. And I think, Liam, you're very proud of your mother, what she's done with compiling that list. Very proud of her. Anyway, on to the rest of the meeting. So that's okay with everyone. Liam's definitely okay to join, and we look forward to seeing him on his laptop. Bernard isn't with us. Mainly, he got his invite and he replied to it, and then sent me another email saying he hadn't got it. So I don't really know what's happened to Bernard, but Bernard hasn't got with us this morning. Right, let's start off with Sophie. We've dealt with. Barbara, have you got anything you'd like to put forward, Barbara?
Well, I have got something actually, and it's to know whether anybody knows anything about what I'm just going to show you. My mum has just gone into care, so we've got a bungalow that we're going to be sorting out, and this was underneath the thing that shows my dad, Japanese Labour Camp Survivors Association, and I don't know anything about that, or why this picture here should be that. So I don't know. Does anybody know anything about the Japanese Labour Camp Survivors Association?
No.
No, you've not heard of it.
Yeah. I should think after the war, though, there was a lot of associations starting up, and then they all converged on the feeble one. So I should think there was quite a few local ones starting up, just for meetings to get together. And, I know my dad liked to join, the other feebles at meetings just to talk. So I should think after the war, there was a few like that. I would have thought so.
Either that or my mum came just across it and bought it for my dad, because he died in 1990. She was a Wren before she married my dad. and there's also one for the Wrens Association, which she's a member of anyway. But that was with it, and I thought, I've not heard of anything, named that way. So I just wondered if anybody else had come across anything to do that. But I'll do some more research and see if I can find out, especially as, my involvement with the Birmingham Association of FIPOs. It might be interesting just to know whether it's a predecessor of those associations.
Yeah, I tend to look within your area, Barbara, because I'm sure that would have been a local one. Just so they got together in a pub or something and had a chat and had a, just as I said,
I think my uncle, who was a prisoner of war, well, he was RAF, but he was, I think, he was, that rings a bell. And he lived in Sheldon in Birmingham.
Oh, right.
He retired to Wales in the middle of nowhere 40 odd years ago and died. But, not the actual wording, but the JLCSA and the Scorpion badge. I actually, because he was interested in diving, I actually thought it may be something to do with diving. I'm sure I've seen that badge with those initials, but I didn't. I'll have a look next week when I go down to clear out the carriage.
Yeah, I'll ask Ron Mockford as well, because with him being a local man to Birmingham, maybe it'll mean something to him. But I just thought, out of interest, whether anybody else had come across that association. I mean, there aren't many associations left now. They're all closing down, sadly. And we're desperate that our group keeps going, and that we also want to not just keep it for Birmingham people. We want anybody with an interest in a FIPO and wants to commemorate them to sort of, we have no membership fees or anything like that. It is purely local interest, and now becoming more widespread for anybody with an interest in a FIPO to join us to commemorate them, especially with next year coming up. It's very important that they aren't forgotten. Okay, so that's about all for me. Sorry.
Because I'm pretty sure when I was doing a Google search just one day of something random or something, I think you can now upload a photo and it will look for something similar. So I just wondered maybe that might be a way to do it and just see if it comes up with anything. And obviously, if you move it between sort of all images, videos, it might be that you might find a link to, because there's all sorts of things on the internet where somebody maybe has a particular interest in something like a local historical society or just an individual you might actually find a link to something which would then tell you some more information about what it is, which then you can then use to find more information again. I just thought it might be an idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you, Sophie. Yeah, good idea.
No worries.
Yeah, let us know how you get on with it.
Yeah, we'll do.
That'd be interesting to know. Right.
So, Barbara.
Go on in, Martin.
I was just going to say to Barbara, Jen and I are planning to come and visit the Birmingham meeting when we're over in the UK, which will be end of October, first few weeks of November. So whenever you're
I was talking to James just on the phone the other day. He missed our meeting, but I asked him if he'd heard from you, and he said he'd had a recent email to say that you were hoping to come and join us in November.
So
have you altered the dates of your trip over? Because we were talking some time ago on one of these conferences, and you didn't think you'd be here when the exhibition up in Liverpool was on, but you will be if you're here in November, won't you?
Well, we arrive on the 25th of October,
right,
and through to the 15th of November.
Yeah, so if you get a chance to go and see the Art of Survival, here's Bernard, Art of Survival in Liverpool, it sounds amazing. And the gentleman that passed away in Melbourne the other day, who did the drawing of Smith. That's it, who did the drawing of the dental chair that was made from bamboo in Chung Kai. I don't know if you know or anybody knows that the school, is it Noble High in Cheshire, somewhere like that, their A-level art and design class have actually reconstructed that, and that's going to be at the Art of Survival exhibition, which sounds really amazing, doesn't it? And how fabulous that these kids have used that as part of their A-levels. It's brilliant. Yeah, these pictures are amazing. Yeah, sad to lose another one.
When you think though that dentist or anything they had to have done, they didn't have anything to put them to sleep.
No.
I don't like the dentist at the best of times. I hate being pulled about. I hate it. So I just don't like the dentist. And to think of sitting in that chair and having somebody have a go at your teeth, and they didn't have all the stuff that we have now. Right, Bernard. Are you back on your phone?
Yes, I can't get you on my my laptop at all.
Well, you did last time. You were on your laptop last time.
Your invitation just disappeared. I got your email, but I lost the invitation.
Yeah, but you did reply to it, so you must have had it.
Yeah.
You did reply to it.
As soon as I clicked on that I would be attending, the invitation went.
Oh, never mind. You're here now, as though you're on your phone and you aren't on your new laptop. How are you getting on with your new laptop?
No, I'm not on that. I'm only on my phone. I can't get you on my laptop.
Yeah, but how are you getting on with your laptop?
Oh, it's all right. It's okay.
Yeah, but you're getting your emails on your laptop, so...
Yeah.
Oh. Anyway, that's nice to see you in any rate.
Thank you, Rob.
That's all right, mate. Right, what was I doing? Judith, where's Judith gone? Are you there, Judith? I can't see you.
I'm here.
Yeah. Have you done anything lately you'd like to say?
I haven't. No. I must admit, I struggle to navigate myself around the resources, but I had a lot on my plate at the moment, so I'm glad I've just made the meeting, and I know I don't have much to contribute, and I'm just kind of listening to you all, but it's just great to be a part.
Be part of the meetings, Judith.
Yeah.
You don't have to say a lot. You can just listen. We're not going to push you into anything. Just enjoy the meetings. It's a friendly meeting.
And it's really nice that we're having a meeting today, 2 days after, the 15th, and I was able to go to I went to Ruislip and just sat near the memorial where they've got, the outline of a soldier, and just thought about my dad's cousin Harry and all of them on that day. And it was a nice surprise to hear on the local news that they did remember that it was VJ Day on the 15th. It was only the local London news, but yeah, it was. It just made it very poignant for me.
To remember, Judith, you don't have to go to a march, or you don't have to go to a church. You don't have to go. I myself, although I did organise the 2006 one at Yarmouth, I like to just sit and be quiet by myself.
I
that's what I do. I just sit. I used to sit by my fish pond, but now we're up North Norfolk. I found a really nice place, and as ideal just to sit there and remember. And everyone to their own. But I'd rather do that than march. to be honest.
Yeah.
I find it more. I can sit there and just remember my dad. But
well, on Remembrance Sunday, the church that I go to, we are invited to join the rest of them for the Royal British Legion, and we went to again the memorial at Ruislip, and it was just so nice that we were invited. We could lay a wreath, and I have been to the one at Whitehall, but there's just so many people there. It's just a lot. But what I wanted to ask, has anybody organised when they're going to the art exhibition in Liverpool?
Barbara would be best to ask, so I bet she's going.
Well, I am intending to go, and because it was VJ Day this week, I didn't actually contact Meg Parks. What I'd understood from Meg Parks was that they'd got somebody, Deborah, and I can't remember what her last name was, who was going to take over all the arranging for the special weekend in November, and was going to keep in touch with me because I passed on the information to our group. And I've heard nothing, but I thought, well, it's the holiday, and I know Meg working at the Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine, often, she's on holiday at the moment. But I will try and contact her again, because I was asked at our meeting this week, had I heard, because we'd hoped to have a group trip up to there, although I think my husband and I will probably stay up there for 3 or 4 days, so we may go by train. Meg had actually said that more information would be coming out to us about that special weekend.
What special weekend do you mean?
Oh, had you not heard about that, Judith?
Right. I remember when Ronnie told me about it, that I emailed her, and because she wanted to gauge interest.
That's right.
And so I replied to her and said, yes, I'm interested. So I don't know what you mean.
Right. I copied this for our members. This is Save the Date. This is a special FIPO Descendants weekend, 16th, 17th and 18th of November.
Right.
And there's lots going on. Yeah, I'll try and find out more, Judith.
Okay.
And get it on, because I know Meg wanted numbers, which I sent her numbers. There were about 18 of us that were interested in doing this, but obviously that's dwindled. I'll tell you what they're organising. On the Saturday the 16th of November, the FIPO galleries will be open to the public all day. And then there's going to be, in the evening, a conservation workshop with advice on how to conserve FIPO archives. On Sunday the 17th at midday, there will be a remembrance service in Liverpool Parish Church near the waterfront. And at 6:30, there's a special evening at the Royal Liverpool Philharmonic Hall. And in that, they're going to have the youth choir of the Women of Palembang Internment Camp's vocal orchestral rendition of Dvorak's Largo in memory of all FIPO captives. And the FIPO film Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence is also going to be on. You can actually go online and book to go and see that now, and tickets are priced £8 to £12. And if anybody hasn't seen that film, it's an excellent film.
Mr. Lawrence, you mean?
Yes.
See the film.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I know that.
Oh, it's a superb film. It's David Bowie, but David Bowie is superb in his role. Well worth watching. I've got a DVD of it, but Keith Andrews has borrowed that from me now. And then on Monday the 18th, they've got from 10 o'clock till 1 o'clock, there's a private guided viewings of the Secret Art of Survival exhibition. All of these have got to be pre-booked, but I haven't heard any more. But I will prompt Meg Parks, to say that we aren't hearing about this, and it's important that we do get to hear, so that we can. But you can go online and book the Philharmonic Hall already if you want to see the film, and I do recommend it. And the fact that it will be FIPO descendants who will be the majority of the audience, I think it will be, you know, the atmosphere will be amazing to watch that film together, and perhaps all nip over the road to the Philharmonic pub afterwards and have a drink and a natter about the film. So that's as much as I know. I'm going to try now and in the next few days get in touch with Meg Parks to see what's happening, because it's coming closer. Okay.
Yeah.
Does that help you at all?
Yeah, that does. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I've actually got the DVD of that as well, but I'm sure I found it when I put it on Facebook about a year ago for people to watch it. I'm sure that's on YouTube.
All right.
I'm sure the film is on YouTube. So if you look at YouTube and do a search for Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, you should come across it. Conte is good in it as well. Bowie plays the role really well, but Conte is quite good.
Yeah.
And
I think you need to watch it a couple of times, because you pick out different things. And it's a very emotional film, and with a different aspect of FIPO life as well. You know, with how they were together, the sexual side of it, because that's what comes across, a bit of the homosexual side of relationships with the FIPO. It is just really interesting. Actually, folks, I'm going to have to run. I've got my daughter, who is a granddaughter of a FIPO. She's about the same age as your children, so it's lovely to see that we've got Liam, who's only, 7 is he? 7 or 8?
7,
yeah.
Going on 17. So, yeah.
And that's so welcome. But I'm going to leave you all now.
Thanks, Barbara. Thank you very much.
Speak to you soon.
See you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Yeah, within that film, the bit that stands out for me was the Japanese officer was very brutal towards the prisoners, and one of the officers was getting a real beating, and David Bowie is, you know, his POW figure, yeah. He walked up to the officer, stood in front of him, and kissed him on the cheek. That's actually, yeah, just to show, you know, we can be friendly, you know. And he just kissed him on the cheek, and that really did upset the officer. He went absolutely ballistic. But anyway, it's a good film, though, a very good film to watch. When I originally put that on Facebook, I got no response from that. Hardly any at all, because of David Bowie. You know, everybody thinks of him as a musician, but he did actually play the role really well. Very good. Anyway, Steve, come on, Steve, you got something to say?
Okay, yeah. Well, following up from the last meeting, just to remind people, my particular interest is following my uncle, Henry, who died as a prisoner of war. So he never made it back. I never met him. But with some of the information that came up at the meeting, and also subsequently from you guys, I found a little bit about him. I just wanted to ask a question. It seems his dates tie in very closely with the Hellfire Pass bit. Now, I came across that on an Australian prisoner of war site, and it suggests, in reading it, obviously it's mainly about Australians, but his dates, he died on the 14th of July, 43, and it seems the Hellfire Pass was going on from the end of April to the end of July 43, and he's originally buried at Kinsyock. So I just wanted to check really whether or not there was, if anybody knew whether British prisoners were also working in Hellfire Pass, or whether that might be just a coincidence of dates.
Yeah, they were definitely working in the past. And if you have a look at my site, The Death Railway, which you can find on the FIPO family
I think most of my stuff I got from that. Yeah.
Yeah, you can find it quite easily. If you go down the camps and find Hellfire Pass, you'll see what work groups were actually working on it. And if you find out his, did I do a page for him?
I think you've. I've got notes here, which probably came from you. Work group 4, I've got him down as.
Yeah. Well, look under the Death Railway for work group 4, and see what dates he was there, because that should help you a lot. You know, because the work group is the thing that's really, although if they were ill, they were joined another work group, but mostly they stayed with the work group they were in. So have a look under Death Railway. I'll let Martin answer some of that, because Martin is good on the railway. If you answer some of that, I'll just have a look through my site, Martin. Okay?
Yep.
You talk to him about it, Steve, about it.
Yeah, so my understanding of Hellfire Pass is it was the British and Dutch were the first in there, and that works commenced around November 42, when those October-November parties were going up to Thailand from Singapore. The Australians didn't actually get to Hellfire Pass until January in 43, and they were the 1,000 men under Weary Dunlop. So the predominant workforce at Hellfire Pass was Asian Labour, British, Dutch, and the Australian contingent as well. So the Hellfire Pass wasn't actually completed then until August 1943, because it was a massive cutting. If you've seen the photos of the cutting itself, it's an enormous piece of work, and they cut through the rock from either end, and hammer and tap and setting charges and clearing the rock and the debris as they went. So just an enormous piece of work. So look, it depends really where he was, because there's several camps around the Canyu area, and there's enormous amounts of rock work through that region. Massive bridging across ravines and various cuttings between Canyu right the way through to Hintok and beyond. So it's a massive undertaking. So you're saying he died at Kinseok? Is that correct?
That's where he was first buried. He was later exhumed, and he's in Kanchanaburi.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yep. So, what do you know? What work party he came up on?
Well, I think D-Force, as far as the D-Force and his work group 4.
Right, so he's come up on D-Force.
Yeah, and he's got about 4 different prisoner of war numbers.
Yep.
Which I won't bore you with at the moment. But yeah, so that's about the limit of my knowledge so far, other than knowing he's buried at Kinseok and that he died of dysentery-related acute enteritis, I think it was, in July.
Right. Yeah.
What was his name again, Steve? What was his name again?
Henry Juneman. That's June as in the month, and man.
Yeah, I did put on a web page for him.
You did. You have done a number of things on it, yeah.
And what unit was he in?
He was the 118th Field Regiment Royal Artillery.
Ah, okay. Yep.
Because I started off by trying to work out which boat he arrived on.
Yeah. Because a lot of them came up on the 18th of October, 118th. Went into Group 4. What I can do is give you there's a link to a very good camp report on Kinseok on the Australian National Archives. So it's got a full report on hospital conditions at Kinseok, so you might find that interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be interested to see that. Yeah,
that's the one, Steve. We weren't sure which ship he was on.
That's right. That's where
they
my inquiry
they were put on
started.
different ships. So we still not sure what ship he was on to get to Singapore.
Yeah, I think
although he was in the convoy
right.
William Sale 12X.
Yep. So yeah, but we was
definitely in that.
Strongly
Was he probably West Point, was it?
Yeah, strongly suggesting it was the West Point. Yes.
Yeah. Because prior to the last meeting I attended, the information seemed to suggest that he was on the Mount Vernon, but that's looking less likely now.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's going to be difficult to find out which actually ship he was on.
Yeah.
Because they were put on different ships, of course. They were spread out. That's the same as the medical corps. They weren't put together. They were put on the different ships.
Yeah, spread across. Yeah.
So you can't actually find out which ship they were on. Although if they said they were on the 4th Norfolk or 4th Suffolk or whatever, or 6th Norfolk, you can find out exactly which ship they went on.
Yeah.
Although I was waylaid because when I wrote my dad's pages at the beginning, way back 1990 odd, I put him down as 4th Norfolks and travelling with the 4th Norfolks until I talked to him about it. And although he was 4th Norfolks, he joined HQ, which left Liverpool on a different ship than the 4th Norfolks. So that threw me. I had to readjust what I'd actually put down. So it's got. Although we know he was in the convoy William Sale 12X, we don't know which ship.
That's it. Yeah.
So we know how he got there, but we don't know when he got there. Did he get there and fight in Malaya, or did he get there and just before the surrender?
That's it, because the Lewisham Archive, which there were South London Regiment, and that says they arrived late in January, which would fit in with the West Point, as opposed to the Mount Vernon, which arrived quite early in January.
Yeah.
I found actually sorry, I don't want to dwell too long on this, but just one other thing I found of interest. His brother Ron, we've got a postcard sent to Henry in the prisoner of war camp saying, cheer up, it'll soon be okay, and that sort of stuff. It's sent back to him with a stamp saying unable to deliver because of reason, recipient deceased, which I thought was a pretty blunt way of letting him know. But that was August 1944, and he died in July 43. So I don't know whether that's typical, that the families just didn't know what had happened until
that's very typical, because I mean, first of all the family's got a notification that they were missing in Singapore after the surrender, and some of them didn't find out they were actually POWs till the following year. So they thought they were dead, and it goes back to normal life, that when some of the POWs got home, they found out their wives had remarried.
Yes.
If you think about it, I mean, they got home and found their wife had remarried and she'd got children. So can be very. I had one family got in touch with me and they asked me to put him on within the Roll of Honour, which I did do. And then the mother of this girl who asked me to put it on got in touch with, she went absolutely mad at me on an email. You've got to take that off. You've put on wife so-and-so, and she was a slut, and she was going on about this woman. And in the end, I said, well, I wrote back to her and said, look, your daughter's asked me to put it on. I'm not going to take it off. It's on there. She asked me to put it on. So, and I've done a lot of research on it. So I got what happened. I said, well, what I'm prepared to do is just take the loved one off, the wife off. That's all I'm prepared to do. Because she wanted me to put after her name, she was a slut. So I just took the wife off because she'd been married since he was away, and she had children when he came back. But I mean, she wasn't a slut. She was just that she was told he was missing and dead.
Yeah.
You know, get on with life. You know, so you can't call her a slut. Anyway, yeah. So that isn't unusual. You know, some didn't find out they'd died in the camps until they started coming home. And then they realised he hadn't come home, and then found out from an officer who'd got back, who'd wrote, because the officers did keep a list of the men under them who died and what they died of. And he actually wrote to them and said, unfortunately, he died, blah, 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 blah. That's the first she'd heard of him being dead. You know, the Japanese didn't really communicate very well, and the Red Cross, they only let the Red Cross know what they wanted them to know. And some of the camps they made look really good. They had special camps that looked brilliant, and they invited the Red Cross to them. They didn't invite the Red Cross to the ones that were bad.
Yeah, they had secret camps.
Yeah, they had camps and they had ships as well. They invited the Red Cross to a ship that was a really good liner, and they put the POWs on the ship from Singapore to Japan, and invited the Red Cross along to see what conditions they were under. And they were really good conditions, but the rest of the hell ships were terrible. So really, they didn't really tell particular truth on what was happening. But that is usual. I wouldn't say it's usual, but I think my mum didn't find out my dad was alive until about 2 years after the surrender. She was actually going around with her family. She was going from one part of the family to another because she didn't have no house. Because she married Dad when Dad was in uniform, and my sister was born a year later. So they got married in 1939. And he remembers her in Mum's arms as he went on the train to leave. He didn't see my sister till she was 4. 4, yeah, 5. No, it was 5. It was 5. So, but anyway, getting off that. Does it answer everything, Steve?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's good to share that and pick up little bits of info. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Well, Steve, I'll have a bit of a dig for you because I can actually see now here, as you said, he was D-Force. So large numbers of the 118th came up on the 18th of October. I can see he came up on D-Force. So I'll do a bit of digging around to find out where that particular group went into, because D-Force were reinforcements, labour reinforcements right along the railway, and they got taken into various places. So we'll try and track down what particular work group he was with.
Yeah, I've got.
Thanks very much.
If you have a look at his page, Martin, that is in the Roll of Honour on the site memorial, and he did go up on the 20th of the 3rd in D-Force. Work Group 4 on the 54th train from Singapore to Thailand, and the commander, which might help. I said to you before, Steve, that might help with because they tended to keep. Yeah, Carpenter, and he was first Cambridges.
Yes.
So they tended to keep men together throughout. So as I said to you, that might be that he was with the first Cambridges on the ships. It might be. There's a possibility. So what do you think, Martin?
Well, I mean, that's a sort of stab in the dark, but yeah,
First
Cambridge. Yeah, First Cambridges were also 55th Infantry Brigade, and the 118th were in support of the 55th. So there's a possibility, yeah.
Yeah. So that might be a possibility, but it's going to be difficult to find it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
thanks.
So that's right, Steve. Done, Judith. Matt, I haven't heard from Matt. Right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, your book went well, Matt. You're very chuffed with it, so that's a good one. That's a good one.
Whilst we're on that, move everything. I've got, if it's okay with everybody, it's not a book, but I thought we could. Oh God, the brain's not working. Add it to the book list, which is the Victory Films collection from the Imperial War Museum. It's a set of 5 DVDs rather. This was 6, sorry. Basically covering the whole war, but it has sections on. It has brain work. It has a DVD that deals solely with. Something wrong with me this morning. With the war in Burma. It also does the Tunisian war in the deserts wars, and of course the European war. But I thought we could include that as well, if it's okay with you, Ronnie.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Send it to me, and then I'll get it added to the list. That's the next thing I really want to sort out. What are we going to do with this book club? Because at the moment, the book club, we did start off for people to actually have to join it, free of charge, of course, but join it. Now, I've got the new list, but where do we put it? Do I make the book club part of the normal Feeple family so anyone can go into it? Because I think that might be the best way to do it. Any thoughts on that quickly?
I'm actually going to have to go. It's
your dinner.
Dinner time.
Tea.
So I'll have to say farewell, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, Martin.
Okay, cheers. Bye.
Thanks, mate.
See you.
Yeah.
I think the book club should be available to everybody. Ronnie.
Yeah, so I think it should be. So I think I'll open that up. Because we have got a lot of information in there. The only trouble is, although we have got a member actually doing the list, which is good, so I can now update the list when I get round to it. We want really somebody to do a monthly review on on new books. But I just don't get the time, and I keep saying I'm going to do it, but I just haven't got the time. You know, it keeps me busy doing everything else. So we really want somebody who will do a review on the new books that are being. So think about it. Not you don't have to answer now, but if anyone is interested, I'd really like the help, because I think we really ought to have an up-to-date book list.
I'll think about doing something like that for you, Ronnie, but say speech is not my best.
Yeah, well, I know. I know you're ever so busy, Matt, doing the Burma stuff, so I'm not going to push you. But this is going out to all the members as well, because they'll watch the video. So if anybody is interested in doing it, I would really appreciate some help with the book club. I have got one member helping me with the book club who's doing really well with it. He sent me a full list of all the books, so that's really good. I found his book the other day. If you see my legs, don't worry, because I split my trousers, so don't look too deep.
I'll take this moment this time just to say, on Three Power Day, the 15th, I went down to South Wales to my aunt's house. Oh, I've got that book, Brian Williams.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brian has actually done me the full list of the books. So I've got to put it on, but he has made a really good job of it. He's actually sent me when they were written and everything. So, but I would like to follow up with new books if possible. But no, that's Brian Williams. He is a member of our charity. So.
It's funny that because I was just saying on the 15th of People Day, I went down to South Wales to my aunt, who was the until she retired last year, the year before. She was the RAFA Association. They looked after ex-RAF people, and she was she was the president of the South Wales. And did all the welfare. She was a welfare officer and everything. And went down there and we did Help for Heroes. She does one every year on the 15th, which is to raise money for the different charities. This year was Help for Heroes. But I've met them before when I've been down. But I met an old boy, and my brain is terrible. His name was Ted. Anyway, he was an ex-FEPAL, 104.
Wow.
And you wouldn't, honestly, he would have been, he'd come back from being a FEPAL, stayed in the RAF, and retiring from the RAF in 1960-something. And as a squadron leader. But you look at him and you think maybe he's about 70. He looks fantastic, honestly. And he's we're talking, and his wife said, "Tell him your age." I'm going, what do you mean? He's still driving.
Yeah.
And he says, "I'm 104." I went, "I'm sorry, I don't believe you."
Yeah.
He had everything, and he was just a remarkable chap. I didn't press him on. I don't tend to ask people what the experience, because I think if they want to talk about it, they'll talk. If not, unless they have a particular purpose behind it, like I need a bit of information and I know they can supply that, I don't ask. So I didn't ask him about his time. He just said he'd been a prisoner of the Japanese. He'd been captured to Squadron 184, was it, in Singapore? Not quite Singapore, but in Malaya. And when the surrendered, he'd gone off with everybody else to enjoy a happy time in the holiday camps that the Japanese so kindly made them go to. But I thought that was interesting. I'm going back. I've got to go back because for Help for Heroes, I've given them advertising stands. You know, the big posters.
Yeah.
I've got some of those, and I've been trying to find a home for them for years. They're brand new, and someone gave them to me, trying to find a home for them, and I've been trying to find a home for them ever since. And anyway, Sandra, who was the Carmarthenshire representative for Help for Heroes, was really happy to have them. So I'm going to take 12 down next week, well, the week after. My genius of a son, I've got to tell you what it is. My genius of a son, who's been working in Brunei for 3 years, came back after he got married the other week, came back the day after, to start his new job in Azerbaijan. And I took him to the railway station yesterday, and I said to him, because he'd been moaning, he got 5 bags of stuff. And I said to him yesterday morning, Oh, it's only $3. Yeah, I've managed. I've got everything into 3 bags. All the rest of the stuff you can chuck out. Okay, I said, well done. 3 bags. They're huge and heavy, but we loaded them off when we went and travelled down to Swindon, where he's having a party with some friends. And so yesterday afternoon, about 4 o'clock, I went into his room to sort it out because, as usual, he left it a complete mess. And behind the door was a suit bag, packed. Well, I opened it up and there's brand new suits and shirts and all the rest of it. So I sent him a message and said, what do you want me to do with this? I mean, there's hundreds of pounds worth of clothes, new belts, ties, socks, underwear, shirts, suits. He's going, oh, God, I forgot about that. That's all my new clothes for my new job. What do I have to do? I said, well, I said, this bank holiday weekend, so if I get it couriered down to you, it's going to cost maybe 300, 400 quid. Oh, God. So anyway, long story short, I'm going to Swindon tomorrow. My funds are very limited. We going to Wales last week and Swindon tomorrow. I mean, I can't go to South Wales for about another 2 weeks, but I thought, well, I've got a genius for a son. Spends hundreds of pounds buying himself new clothes, then forgets them. Oh, the joys of offspring.
Yeah. Right. Bernard.
Yeah.
Quickly, Bernard.
You awake?
Yeah, we know you do. We know you're on your phone, so you don't have to tell us that. Anything new?
I've only got a picture about the size of a stamp.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. You
Well,
look
get
all
your
right,
laptop
Bernard.
sorted out.
You look all
I'll
right.
tell you what I'm doing now, Ron. And Ron, I've knocked the Blue Jeans app off, and I'm trying to reinstall it now because I got my picture on it, but I haven't got nothing of what you were doing in there. Why is that?
That's because you're not at the meeting.
You probably need the invite
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. Yeah, you
Yeah.
really should. Yeah, you really want to click on the invite, and then that'll take you through. Don't worry about it. Next time, save it on your computer, not on your phone. Save it on your computer. Then you
No,
should get in.
I didn't save it on my phone. I mean, the emails come through on my phone as well as my computer. So that's the only way that I've got onto you now is on my phone. But
Someone shot the pigeon.
it must have.
Yeah.
Even though you sent me the invitation, and I think what I shouldn't have done is to have told you that I would be attending, because as soon as I did that, it went.
Bernard, have you actually, by accident, turned your Wi-Fi on the laptop off?
No.
That's unusual.
No, he's lost the invite, so that's why he couldn't get in. He's got it on his phone, but not on the laptop. Anyway,
I didn't.
Right.
No, I didn't. I lost the invite on my phone as well.
well, I didn't
Well, we
take it
could
off,
see
Bernard. Yeah, we got you on the
I didn't.
phone.
I didn't use the invite to get onto you on my phone.
Oh.
Anyway, when you get the next
I think
invite,
you need to
when you
save
get-
it onto your laptop next invite.
yeah, just save it on your laptop and put it in a folder and just save it, and you should get on okay then. Right?
Yeah.
Have we heard from everyone? Have we heard from anyone? Yeah. Right. Is there anyone who want to bring anything else up?
Ronnie, I did have one question because I discovered because my mum's a watercolor artist, and I was showing her some of the books, and I mentioned one of the artists, a guy called Jack Chalker, who I think actually lived quite near to where we lived down in Somerset, and she said, oh, she said he was my principal at art college, and she said we knew what had happened to him because obviously he was 20 years younger than my mum, So at this time, she, there would have been sort of late 50s, early 60s. So she's become actually quite avidly interested now, and she's applying for his records. So I filled in the forms and she just signed them. But she said, "Oh, I want to be kept informed of everything." So because he said pretty much nothing to her, that she's really interested. Yeah, so I gave her that book and she's read it already cover to cover, and she said, "I'd no idea what, because obviously my dad never said anything much."
I didn't actually buy that book. When I did the Cathedral website, when I started that off, they actually gave me 3 books, and that was one of them. This was 2001. They actually gave me
so I think so she actually knew him quite well, so she was really interested. So I think he actually did 2 books. So I bought both of the books for her, and got them sent to her, and because she lives down in Somerset and we live in Gloucestershire. And I sent one to her, and then my husband took the other one down to her this week. But yeah, she sent me back a note saying, I want to have copies of everything you get. I want you to tell me everything that you find out, because she didn't know really anything at all either. So I think it's actually filling in a lot of gaps for her, because she's 80 now.
Yeah.
But one thing she did mention to me, which doesn't make sense in terms of all the other information that I found out, she said that my dad did mention, and I think, Ronnie, I put it on a message to you, I think, that she seemed fairly insistent that he'd told her that he remembered coming back through Singapore, I think, and I thought that doesn't make sense. And I said, "Are you sure?" And she remembers him saying that somebody, I can't remember who now, but addressed them all, got up on a box and addressed them all. And he said that they all felt really angry because they felt that this guy who was addressing them had absolutely no idea what they'd been through at all. And he said they were all, that him and his comrades were just sort of cross about that. But he remembers, he told her he remembered crossing some bridges, and actually the bridges contained a lot of spikes with Japanese heads on. And I thought, are you sure? And so I'm just trying to, obviously that memory, because she may be 80, but she's as sharp as anything memory-wise. And what that might have actually been, because I said, I'm sure that can't be on his way home. But maybe it was in one of the interim periods after he was captured, and
he was Thailand.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
He ended up in Thailand, didn't he? That was Thailand.
Yeah, because it just doesn't make sense. And I thought, it was really weird. Bit of info. So
yeah. A lot. Yeah, didn't he? He ended up at Rangoon, didn't he?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, his last camp was Ubon, but it just didn't make any sense.
I can't see how he got to Singapore. I mean, my dad does remember Chinese heads, because when the Japanese...
Yeah, well, maybe.
That might have been, she's confused the two, because my dad remembers when the Japanese went into Singapore, they did go through the Chinese. They didn't get on with the Chinese, and Dad remembers on his way, because Dad was, the 4th Norfolks were near Changi when the surrender happened, and they actually they were one of the first to get to Changi because they didn't have far to go. But he remembers a lot of Chinese heads, and having talked to a lot of the peoples in the past, when they went through Singapore, the Japanese had killed a lot of Chinese and stuck their heads on spikes and things like that.
So that would have been before they went out to the camps then?
That would have been when on the way to Changi, or the prisoner of war camps. The Japanese did kill a lot. And I think I've mentioned this before, that a lot of the Asian ones in the Straits Settlements Volunteer Force. They actually went back to their villages, and they were informed. An informer told the Japanese they'd gone back to the villages, and the Japanese just killed a lot of them. They just went through and collected them all up and just bayoneted them. A lot of the pictures you do see with them practicing bayoneting were on these Straits Settlements Volunteer Force. They just went through with a lot of them.
The Japanese, with the English officers and men who served in the Straits Volunteer Force, they sent them to the prison camps. But most of the Chinese, Malaysians, and Singaporeans who were in the volunteer force and the defence force were put to the sword, were just killed. The Japanese just didn't. The Chinese and Japanese were not of any consequence. They were natural born nobodies, and they could kill them with ease. And they did. They killed an awful lot of Chinese.
Yeah.
When they took over, I think it's 106,000 altogether. Since springs to mind, I don't know where it comes from. There's a lot of people. I didn't say all at once, but I mean during the period they were there, 106,000. But that's not just Singapore. That's the whole of the Malay Peninsula and surroundings. So.
Yeah, because he was captured in Malaya. But then he went to, I think it was Taiping jail in Kuala Lumpur jail. So I don't think he was in Changi, but it just was a strange bit of info.
Did we find out he went on the train from Kuala Lumpur? Because there was 2 trains, weren't there, from Kuala Lumpur?
Yeah, I think that was October 1942, and I think you slightly changed the date. Yeah.
So I think he caught one of those 2 trains, because some of them from Kuala Lumpur and Taiping, they were sent back to Singapore. Yeah. So they went back to Singapore, and then they later went to Thailand, which I couldn't understand. Why they didn't send them direct there, I don't know. But they sent them to Singapore, then up to Thailand, which is ridiculous because they went back on themselves.
So maybe that was what he remembers. I don't know.
But some of the officers in the Straits Singapore, Straits Settlements Volunteer Force, some of the officers gave the Chinese the option of getting out of uniform and going back to the villages, which they did do. Some of the officers said, no, you've got to come into camp, which would have been the safest thing for them to do, because when they were in the camps, they weren't persevered so much as when they went back to the villages, because the informers on the villages did let the Japanese know, and they just killed them. They just killed a lot. Because I couldn't understand why I was coming across all these after the fall of Singapore. And it was mainly because the Japanese had rounded them all up and killed them. So I had a timeline which happened after the fall of Singapore, and it went on for quite a while, and the Japanese were just going around the villages, collecting them all up and just killing them. And a lot of the pictures you do see of them killing Chinese are that actual thing. The Straits Settlements were actually collected and put to death. Anyway, let's get off that. It's been a good meeting. We're now on 11:30, so it's been a long meeting. I'm going to have a break, Sophie. I'm going to take the dogs for a walk. So I'm not.
Take a break. Take a break.
I'm going to take a break. I'm sorry if I'm a bit tired today. It's been a really bad month, really. I told you all. I got Gillian a wheelchair, so I can now take her out for a walk. So I'll take her for a walk this afternoon. No dates are fixed yet for her hip replacements, but hopefully they're soon, because she's finding it harder and harder. Anyway, great. It's been a good meeting. Hope you all enjoyed it.
Thanks, Ronnie.
Yeah, and I hope to see Liam. Send me his email, and I'll send him an invitation.
He hasn't got an email, but yeah, I'll set him one up.
Set him one up, even if it's on one of the freebies, set him one up, and then I'll add him to my invites and send him an invite, because that'd be great to see him at the meetings.
Thank you. I'm sure he's overjoyed.
We don't go into the gruesome too much, so that won't affect him too much. We just mention it now and again. Right.
Well,
I'm sure he'll be fine.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks everyone, and
thanks, Ronnie. Thanks, everyone.
Next book, quickly. Next book. What are we going to do? Are we going to do one of sex, or what one of you suggested, Matt?
I've got one here. Which, oh God, where is it? That's Richard's book, but I'm not. Right, there we are. It's two books I've just got. One of them, which is Hong Kong and Southeast Asia, 1941 to 45, by Oliver Lindsay. It's called The Going Down of the Sun, and it's basically about. I must admit, I'm only halfway through it. But it's basically covering the Japanese occupation of Hong Kong during that time. What happened?
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying it so far. It's got Argyle Street, Officer Scamp, and operations that the Japanese went under, and the interrogations, and the bit about health ships that some of the prisoners went on. I'm enjoying it. I say it's not perfect. It's a bit damaged. Well, it's a bit. I mean, I don't know if you can see that. It's a bit torn off that page. That's the only bit of damage really I can find. It is an old book.
When was it printed, Matt? Or published?
Well, it's first published in 1981.
Yeah, 1981.
Second publication in 1981. Doesn't tell when it was first published.
What was it called again?
The Going Down of the Sun, Hong Kong and Southeast Asia, by Oliver Lindsay. And the other one, which I haven't got round to reading yet, this was published in 1944. It's the first edition, Wartime Publishing. It's Burmese Outpost by Anthony Irwin, as is recommended by Mary Cole and Bobby in Burma, who was given a copy by his auntie many years ago.
Well, the draw.
It's basically about Z-Force in Burma, the guerrilla forces, with some Anakinis and everything.
As you're only halfway through that, Matt, should we leave that one for this month?
Oh yeah, but I'm just mentioning these two because I haven't put them on the list.
Yeah. I see. Yeah. So
just two that I've got. So one's the first edition, and I haven't read that yet. It's supposed to be very good, and this one is halfway through, which is, well, I've found so far very, very interesting. It's not in as good a condition, none either of them are, as I'd like, but they are. I think they're very good books.
Yeah, can you add them to your list and send them to me?
I'll do the others, Ronnie. I've read the others. When I finish this one, I shall add it to the list, and then when I finish that one, I don't like putting them on until I've actually checked that they're okay.
Do you think, Matt, we ought to do one of Sec's? Because Sec did offer one of his 2 books, and he is a charity member.
Well, yeah, but
we ought to use one of his this month.
Well, I think we said we would do anyway.
Yeah, I think so. So, which one did we say we'd use? Can you remember?
Oh, God.
Because he said he's got 2.
I wrote it down. I'm just trying to think.
Well, send me an email or a message. Don't worry about it now. Send me an email and message.
I did write it down what we decided, and he agreed. Yes. Yeah. I think it was his second book we decided that we'd use, and he was going to do a short introduction on it.
Yeah, right. So we've only got 2 weeks, so we better get that one moving.
But actually, the best thing to do for that, Ronnie, if you can ask him which one we would like to do an introduction of.
Yeah, I'll get in touch with him and ask him. And what he's going to do is whoever wins it, he's actually going to send it, and he's going to put in the front cover to so-and-so from Sec, because he always goes under Sec. So from
I
Sec.
hope I wouldn't.
So that'll be a nice little touch. So he's actually going to send it his end. So you will have to do that this month, Matt. Anyway, thanks everyone. We've got the book sorted out, so I think we're okay. All right, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for attending. It's been a good meeting. We've gone through a lot, and a special thank you to that lovely Sophie.
Sophie.
It's quite all right. So.
Honestly, Sophie, I do
Sophie. Thank you, Bernard. Nice to see you. Looking well.
Nice to see you.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone, and see you all again later. See you
Bye.
Next week.
Bye.
Next week.
See you in 2 weeks' time. Bye. 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 Bye.
Next meeting will be the first in
September.